Not only did the Minnesota Fighting Vikings debut a new head coach, a new offensive play caller in Kevin O'Connell, but they have a new man in charge of the defense for the first time in 8 years, as Ed Donatel has taken over the defensive play calling, as well as installing the 3-4 defense, baby. Oh, it's been a long time coming. And I can remember, even as a kid, I mean, the Vikings, since forever, have played a 4-3, an even front. And just the thought of, like, having that big nose tackle, having those 2-5 techs, and having some stand-up outside linebackers that can just go out and get the quarterback's ass, man. Been a long time coming. I was fired up about Ed Donatel coming in. Not only was he my favorite Ninja Turtle, but also he's a prognosticator of that 3-4 and just getting after it during his time with the Broncos, during his time with the Bears, etc. And we got a handful of things that we learned about the new defense in the first preseason game against the Raiders. Now, yes, it is preseason. It's going to be a vanilla defense, but a lot of the concepts, a lot of the personnel usage was out there on full display, and it's pretty promising. Even though the Vikings lost the game to the Raiders, one of their backup running backs had themselves a nice day, whatever. But you need to focus on what's important here. Number one, the new base defense is the 2-4-5 nickel. Now, had a lot of theories that maybe there would be some 3-5, maybe Daniil puts his hand in the dirt, but it does seem like when they get away from the base 3-4 defense and then they go nickel, which nickel is basically the new base defense in today's modern passing offense. A lot of teams go in 11 personnel, even wider, and just really spreading out the field, having 2 down defensive linemen, having 4 linebackers, but really 2 outside linebackers. So basically, you're playing your standard 4-2-5 nickel with the 2 off-ball linebackers, and then you got 5 defensive backs, and it can be a slot cornerback, it can be a third safety, playing that big nickel role in the slot. So we're using also a lot of air quotes, and like we don't bathe every day. Channeling Chris Farley, man. But it was really fun to watch. It's just something new on defense, and also getting heat without blitzing. Now, they did throw in a couple of blitzes, but the great thing about having stand-up outside linebackers who are generally pass rushers is that the offense... So when you have a standard 4-3 and you have hand the dirt defensive ends, generally that they're going to be rushing the passer. Now, occasionally, sometimes with some zone blitz concepts, they'll drop back into coverage, but with a stand-up outside linebacker, you generally don't know. So it does mess up the offensive line's protection schemes. It does mess up where the quarterback thinks they're going to see pressure, and you can play that trick all day long, and you don't need to bring more than 4. You can have Zadarius or Daniil drop into coverage, and then you can bring Jordan Hicks, who blitzed a number of times on Sunday against the Raiders. Or you could bring in Brian Asamoah, and he could be a heat-seeking missile coming along there. Or you can do a lot of things, or Harrison Smith off the edge, or Lewis Seen off the edge. You can do a lot of very interesting things without sacrificing coverage on the back end, where you're not trying to cover all of the zones with 6 or 5. You do have 7 back there, but things are still going to be confusing up front. And guess what? An offensive lineman blocking air is just as good as winning, because then you're still going to have numbers over at the other spots. Number 3, so a lot has been made about how Donatel's come in and the cornerbacks are playing a lot more zone versus man-to-man coverage. Now, the Zimmer Hellfire defense in its heyday, you had outside press corners. Xavier Rhodes was fantastic back in the day for a couple seasons, and then you just get after the quarterback's ass. You got that double A gap mug look, but now the Vikings are going to change things up, because guess what? You're still dropping into coverage, you're still playing zone, and what's great about cornerbacks in zone defense is that they don't turn their back on the quarterback. So they're playing outside leverage. They got the wide receivers in front of them. They're watching the quarterback the entire way, and if you're still getting pressure on that quarterback, he's going to make erratic throws. He's going to have to channel things. He's going to have to hurry things up. And guess what? As the cornerback is watching as the cornerback is watching the quarterback the entire time, he can make a better break on the ball. Plus, more zone is beneficial for guys like Patrick Peterson, who, getting up there in age, he can still use those ball skills. Like, maybe he's not as quick as he was back in the day when he was one of the best man-to-man cornerbacks in the league, but he can still really bring the heat as a zone cornerback. And also, I think it's really going to flesh out the games of guys like Cameron Dantzler, guys like Andrew Booth Jr., guys like a Caleb Evans. All 3 of them are really good man-to-man cornerbacks. Well, Evans played a lot of zone in Missouri, but you know what I mean. But they just learning those attributes is just another tool in the arsenal. It makes them, they got the length, they already got the man-to-man skills, they already got the tenacity, and now sitting back in zone and just being ball hawks You love it, man. I mean, this defense is a big play machine just waiting to happen. Plus, the big time play where Perry Nickerson, the backup cornerback, went for trying to punch the ball out, which is something that they've had a lot of emphasis on in training camp. Where DBs, it's channeling the old Patrick Tillman, Peanut Tillman thing, where it's like, hey, punch the ball out, get out there, man. And the wide receiver broke out of it, ran for a touchdown. It's whatever, but they're going to try and punch the ball out. They're going to be sitting back in zone. They're going to be looking for interceptions, and they're trying to make big time plays in big time games. And guess what? The offense is going to put up points no matter what. We know this. So you have this offense that's up against the Vikings defense. They're already behind the 8 ball because they're already down double digits, 14 points, whatever. And now they're pressing. Now they're throwing it every down. Now Daniil and Zadaris are just licking their chops because they're bringing heat on every single play. And then they make a big time mistake. That is crushing. That is soul crushing. That is game. That is finito. That is it. Love it, man. Number 4, the first team defensive line is stout. So you got Armand for Watts, you got Harrison Phillips, you got Diesel, Dalvin Tomlinson. Now these guys, played a couple series in the first preseason game. I mean, they're good to go. Especially Harrison Phillips is a man playing amongst boys. And what really is great about the 3-4 versus the 4-3. So 4-3. You basically have two interior defensive linemen. You got your nose tackle, you got your 3-tech. But in the 3-4, since your outside linebackers are functioning as edge rushers, you got three interior defensive linemen, really good at talking, Dave, right in front of your linebackers who can scrape, they can make plays, they can do everything. So, I mean, you saw where Troy Dye had opportunities to make plays. Didn't really make them. Same thing with Chasserot. But Brian Asamoah, the rookie flamethrower out there coming out of Oklahoma, heat-seeking missile, just was scraping, making plays, because guess what? The offensive linemen were occupied with all those large bodies inside. And just imagine what Eric Kendricks is going to do. I mean, Eric Kendricks is phenomenal in this. Jordan Hicks is going to be really good. Asamoah is going to be fantastic. So I really cannot wait, because seeing it in training camp versus seeing it in a game situation, yes, again, preseason, vanilla, whatever, but it is refreshing. And no, they didn't have all the stars out there. And no, we didn't get to see the 3 safety looks that they've been implementing in training camp because Harrison Smith didn't play. But Harrison, Cam Beasley, Lewisine are going to be out there in certain packages, and it'll be great. And the thing about it is, like, this isn't an overly complicated defense, but they put their players in the best spots to make plays, and that's all you need, man. I mean, think about the Bears' defenses the last couple years when Fangio and Donatel were there. Think about the Broncos' defenses the last couple years, because they got big-time players at all 3 levels, and they let them make plays. Because the best chefs take great ingredients and then they let the ingredients shine. They don't overcomplicate things. No muss, no fuss. Like, they don't show off technique just to show how smart they are or how chefy they are. And I think that's what's going to happen with Ed Donatel this year, where all the Viking studs at all 3 levels, they're just going to shine, let them shine, let them shine. And this is going to be, stats wise, it may not be a top 10 defense, but it'll be top 5 in big-time plays. We're talking about takeaways. We're talking about forced fumbles. We're talking about 3rd and longs. We're talking about pressures. We're talking about sacks. We after that ass, Jimmy. It's going to be there. So you got to be fired up, man. And I like Ed Donatel. His press conferences are very informative. He also always gets you fired up in like that old man sort of way. It's great, man. Love it. But your thoughts are our thoughts. Ed Donatel's new defense. Thoughts from the first preseason game. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.